The world woke up to a quiet but deeply significant development in modern military strategy. In the early hours of Friday morning, Iran launched 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles toward a remote military installation in the Indian Ocean, the joint United States and United Kingdom base on Diego Garcia. Neither missile struck its intended target. There were no explosions, no casualties, no visible damage. But the implications of this moment go far beyond impact, because sometimes in geopolitics, what doesn't happen can be just as important as what does. This was not just another failed strike. It was a signal, a message sent across more than 3,000 kilometers of ocean directly into the heart of global military calculations. For decades, Diego Garcia has stood as one of the most strategically important and deliberately isolated military bases in the world. Positioned far from continental landmasses, it was designed to be out of reach, out of range, out of danger. And yet, Iran tried. That attempt alone is enough to shift the conversation, because until now, Iran had publicly maintained a self-imposed limit on its missile range, a maximum of around 2,000 kilometers. This limit was not imposed by international agreement. It was a political and strategic decision attributed to leadership under Ali Hosseini Khamenei, a boundary meant to balance deterrence with restraint. But if Iran can attempt to strike a target over 3,000 kilometers away, then that boundary may no longer exist, or perhaps it never truly did. To understand the weight of this moment, we need to step back and look at the broader picture. Iran's missile program has long been a cornerstone of its defense strategy. In a region where air superiority is often dominated by advanced Western and Allied forces, missiles offer something different. They are mobile, they are difficult to intercept in large numbers, and they serve as a powerful deterrent. Over the years, Iran has invested heavily in developing a range of ballistic missile systems, short-range, medium-range, and increasingly systems that push the limits of what was once considered possible within its declared doctrine. But this latest development introduces a new question, not just about capability, but about intention. According to a U.S. official speaking to CNN, the missiles launched toward Diego Garcia did not reach their target. Yet, even in failure, they demonstrated something critical. They showed reach. And reach, in military terms, changes everything, because the distance between Iran and Diego Garcia is not just geographic. It represents a threshold, a line that, once crossed, expands the map of potential targets. Until now, much of the concern surrounding Iran's missile capabilities focused on regional dynamics, the Middle East, parts of Eastern Europe, nearby U.S. military installations. But a demonstrated ability, or even an attempt, to strike targets beyond that range raises new possibilities. Could U.S. assets deeper in the Indian Ocean be at risk? Could European locations fall within extended reach? Could this signal the quiet evolution of a longer-range missile program? These are no longer theoretical questions, they are active concerns. Experts in global security have been watching this space for years. Among them is Jeffrey Lewis, a respected analyst at Middlebury College. His assessment adds another layer to this unfolding story. According to Lewis, Iran had already been working on technology that could support intercontinental ballistic missile development. However, that effort was reportedly redirected, reoriented towards space launch capabilities. On the surface, space programs and missile programs can appear separate. One is associated with exploration, the other with warfare. But technically, they share a foundation, the same propulsion systems, the same guidance challenges, the same need to deliver payloads across vast distances, which means that advancements in one area can often translate into capabilities in the other. So when a nation develops space launch vehicles, it may also be developing the knowledge required for long-range missile systems. This is where the situation becomes more complex, because intent is difficult to measure, and capability does not always equal action. Iran's official stance has long emphasized defense, deterrence, and regional balance, but the attempt to strike a target as distant as Diego Garcia introduces ambiguity. Was this a test, a message, a demonstration of evolving capability, or something else entirely? There is also the question of accuracy. Reaching a distant target is one challenge, hitting it precisely is another. The fact that neither missile struck the base could suggest limitations in guidance systems, or it could reflect other factors: interception, mechanical failure, or deliberate signaling without intent to hit. In military strategy, ambiguity can be intentional because uncertainty creates pressure, and pressure influences decision-making. For the United States and its allies, this development raises immediate strategic considerations. Missile defense systems may need to be reevaluated, early warning networks may require expansion, and the definition of safe distance may need to be reconsidered. For Europe, the implications are equally significant. If Iran's effective range is increasing, then areas once considered beyond reach may no longer be. And for the broader international community, this moment highlights a familiar challenge: how to respond to evolving military capabilities in a way that maintains stability without escalating tensions. Because history has shown that missile development often leads to countermeasures, defense systems, alliances, and sometimes arms races. Yet this situation is not unfolding in isolation. It exists within a larger geopolitical context: tensions in the Middle East, shifting alliances, global power competition. All of these factors influence how this single event is interpreted and how it will shape future decisions. There is also a psychological dimension. Military capability is not just about physical reach, it is about perception. If a nation is believed to have the ability to strike distant targets, that belief alone can alter strategic calculations. It can deter, it can provoke, it can reshape alliances, and sometimes it can lead to miscalculation, which is why clarity matters. But clarity is often the first casualty in moments like this. What we are seeing is not just a technical development, it is a shift in narrative, a shift from regional containment to potential global reach. And that shift, even in its early stages, carries weight. For now, there are more questions than answers. Was this an isolated attempt or part of a broader pattern? Is Iran actively expanding beyond its stated limits or testing the boundaries of perception? What role does its space program play in this evolution, and how will other nations respond? These questions will not be answered overnight, but they will shape the next phase of global security discussions. Because in a world where distance once provided safety, technology is steadily removing that barrier. And as that barrier fades, the importance of strategy, communication, and restraint becomes even greater. The attempted strike on Diego Garcia did not result in destruction, but it did achieve something else. It captured attention, it raised concern, and it forced a reconsideration of what is possible. In geopolitics, moments like this rarely stand alone. They are signals, indicators of direction. And while the missiles did not land, their message may already have. The question now is not just how far Iran's missiles can travel, but how far the consequences of that capability will reach. And that is a question the world will be watching closely.